We want to change the world. This year could be an amazing year for us, but a lot of times we have issues with our value. We have issues with generating sales because we don't truly feel as if we have the value, or we don't know, is this something that people will buy? Is this something that people are going to want? We don't even really know if who we're talking to is the right audience or the right crowd. So how could you give a crowd or an audience something that you want, but you don't really even know what they want? You don't know if you're 100% clear on it. And a lot of times that, I don't want to say anxiety, but a lot of times that apprehensiveness gets transferred over to the person that you feel like you can help. Because when you think about it, a lot of times we started this industry because people either from outside or inside is what I usually say. The outside is people say, oh, you should train, you should teach, you should coach, you should speak, right? You should be a counselor, you should be a therapist, you should, right? And at the end of the day, it's about you having some level of experience, skill, experience, expertise, or education. And because this is things that you say, okay, I want to be able to help other people with it. And what we do, which is why you're in this group, is we put a business model around it. But a lot of times we don't really know how to do the transaction part. We don't really know what it looks like. And even more just than the transaction, we don't know how to build a real relationship. We don't know how to truly tap into people's needs. We don't really know how to really understand what people want. We don't really even know how to present what we have in a coherent and clear enough way for somebody to say, this is exactly what I need. And I think the biggest tragedy in our industry is I believe a majority of folks really do have great value that they can give. I feel like the biggest problem is that they don't have the confidence to share it, or even if they have the confidence to share it, they don't know how to articulate it in a compelling way to make people actually say, this is what I want, this is what I need. And who loses at the end of the day? Everybody loses. The person who needs the help don't get the help. Right? You as the coach don't get a chance to live your mission and your fulfillment because the money is a byproduct. So you don't get a chance to live your true mission in this world. And not only that, you don't get a chance to build that generational wealth for your family. You don't be able to generate the wealth to be able to pour back into the community or pour back into your audience to take them to the next level. So that's really all I want to talk about today is like, how do we do that when it comes to making sales? This is a deeper conversation than just making sales. It's really about being what we call the fiduciary, whereas like you're really under the people that you help is just, it's bigger than just solving that specific problem. And when you can really make that known to them and they feel it on a molecular, on a soul, they can feel it through their spirit. They like, I want to rock with you. And a lot of times it's even bigger than them just wanting to. A lot of times it's, it can get hard. It can get hard personally when you have a lot of personal challenges. It can get hard when, you're just trying to figure this out. Maybe this is your first time kind of jumping into business. Maybe this is your first time really having a product or a service to sell. And it can get hard, especially when you're trying to do it by yourself. You know what I mean? And, trying to do it by yourself makes this journey. The sales and the money is going to be a result of your ability to really understand and your ability to be able to communicate how you can really help somebody. When it comes to making sales, you really have to not focus on making sales. And it might sound counterintuitive, like, well, I want to generate 5K a month. I want to generate 10, 20, 50K a month. And people told me to focus on my goals, and that's what my goals are. And I do get that and I understand. But one of the things that I realize is you achieving your goal has everything to do with the decisions and the actions that you take that allow you to achieve the goal. Does that make sense? Like you should be focused on being the type of person and doing the activities that allow you to achieve the goal. When you think about cooking or baking, for example, either or, right? Let's say you want to bake a cake. Well, yes, you want the cake, but you should be more focused on the process to get the type of cake that you want, right? Make sure you're getting the right flavors. Make sure you got the flour. Make sure you got the sugar. Make sure you got the right icing. Make sure all of that, right? So you're focused on, okay, What do I need to do to get the ingredients and to put together the recipe in the right way to get the cake? Yes, we know you want the cake. The cake is going to come out the way you want it if you focus on the ingredients and you focus on the recipe. So that's what I want us to focus on moving forward and focus on this year is I want you to focus on the ingredients in the recipe, because the ingredients in a recipe to what you put into your business and how you develop and grow yourself is what's actually going to get you the result of the revenue you want to generate. That's what's going to create it. It's not going to just be some mythical thing where you're just magically going to be making 10 grand a month or 40 grand a month. It's going to be, what are you putting into it? What are you doing? What are the actions? That's what it's going to do. What's the decision? How do you make decisions? That's going to determine what you get in terms of the revenue you generate. And once I switched off of everything is about the money, which I want it, don't get it twisted, and allows me to create the generational wealth, that allows me to, create better programs, that allow me to impact more people. So don't get it twisted. But at the same time, I'm more focused on the value. I'm more focused on creating an experience. I'm more focused on how I make people feel, because the more that I'm able to help people in that way, the more that it's going to not just help them, but it'll also help push. What does it really look like from from an actual sales perspective? So the first thing I want you to get right when it comes to making sales is, I want you to reset your mindset. Write that down. Reset your mindset. So you're going to reset your mindset because I want you to really think about the other person. I want you to think about their life. Think about what will happen regardless of what you coach and teach and train on. Think about what their life will look like without this. If everything stayed the same, I get a lot of people who, they focus on trauma, or they focus, as business or career or fitness or, high performance or whatever the case is, right? But let's say you focus on helping people. I'll give you a practical example. So I was talking to a guy earlier today, and he focuses on, people who went through traumatic incidences, right? And really kind of helping them get back on their feet, get back confident in life, live a happy, fulfilled, joyful life. And one of the things that I was talking to him about was, I said, well, kind of really think about your audience. Think about the people in this world that really are going through traumatic situations, but they can't overcome the hump. They don't know how to get past it. They don't know, they went through this, and now it's hard for them to get into relationships. It's hard for them to start their own business. It's hard for them to, and it's a lot of people who've been through it, who are professional athletes, right? It's hard for them to sustain the high performance. Really think about, if you don't do this, or if they don't do this, or if you don't help them overcome this situation, what is that really going to look like for their life? What is that going to look like today? If they continue to let this manifest, what is that going to look like in a year in their life? What is it going to look like in 5 or 10 years? Well, and I want us to think about those things, because when you really, and all of this is before you even get on a call. That's why I said reset your mindset, because you'll come from a place of compassion. You'll come from a place of I really need to help this person. This person is going through it. This person is suffering. This person is like, they're going to become somebody that they don't like at the end of their life, or they're going to regret the decisions that they made at the end of their life, or they're going to have a shorter life, or they're going to have a more stressful life. Not only stress to them, but it's going to be stress to their family members, stress to their kids, stress to their parents, stress to their community, stress to their siblings. They're going to be, they're going to be in a place where they're not really doing what they want in life. So they're not going to feel fulfilled in life. Maybe they're just going to be sent home collecting a disability check, just feeling hopeless, right? So I want us to think about those things for our market, because every market has challenges that they want to overcome, which is why they hire coaches, right? We hire coaches because we have certain goals that we want to have in life and or in business. And we want people to help us overcome those things. But if we can't mentally picture ourselves or picture the scenario or situation that the person is going through, which a lot of times we can because you've came from it. Us to think about what they've been through, long term, short term. Think about what their goals. Think about what life could be like. Think about, if this person, if I really can't help transform this person, what is that going to do to them? So once you really start thinking about it like that, and you think about the possibilities, when somebody comes on a call, and even if they have a certain attitude, or even if they're complaining, or if they're sad, or whatever the case is, right? Or they might not be any of those things, but because maybe they'll get on a call, but they might not even feel the sense of they may not feel the urgency of the situation, right? It's kind of like, God forbid, it's like dying a slow death where you don't really know, right? You heard about the story with the frog, right? If you put a frog, and I don't even know where this parable came from, but if you put a frog, I said a parable, I don't know, a story, whatever, right? But if you put a frog in a boiling hot pot of water, it'll go in, and then it'll jump right back out the water. But if you put a frog in a warm pot of water and you just slowly turn up the heat, the frog won't make it, right? And the reason is because he doesn't notice that the heat is raising so much until it's lights out. And that's the analogy of how I see a lot of people, in the world, is that a lot of times they'll wait until the very last minute until it's too late, instead of being proactive, instead of doing something about it now. They'll wait until they hit the iceberg. They'll wait until they fall off the cliff. And by that time, it's too late. So our job is to help them before they go off the cliff, is to put them in a new direction. Don't let them hit the iceberg. Don't let the pot get so hot to where they can't jump out. Some of the soft skills you really want to be focused on. You want to be a great listener. Focus on listening. Focus on really hearing what the person is saying. A lot of times, and you'll see a lot of other folks, and I think that's what separates us. I know for a fact this is what separates us from other folks we do other trainers, other coaching programs, and things of that nature, is because they're just trying to make a sale. They're trying to rush you through the process so quick that you never feel heard. A lot of times, especially when we start this industry, maybe this is your first time or maybe it's not, but a lot of times we don't have somebody on a day-to-day basis that we can talk to about this, which is why we create communities like this, and to really give you a safe space, to really give you a place where all of us who want to change the world can congregate. We can all learn together, we can all grow together. We're building camaraderie, we're building a community where we can all continue to grow. And this is why I spend my life nurturing this community. I spend my livelihood talking and speaking and helping. It's funny that we're talking about this on MLK Day, because it's important. We have an obligation to our community. We have an obligation to our family. We have an obligation to our culture to push the culture forward. We have an obligation to circulate the wealth within our communities. We have an obligation to create generational wealth for our families. We have the obligation to push future generations forward. Our kids, our nephews, our nieces, the kids in the community, the people who are watching us online. We have the ability and the responsibility to really give back and push it forward. And the best part about it is not like you got to do it for free. We get compensated for it, but you got to leave with service first. You leave with service first, and everything comes on the back end. That was one of the things that, one of my coaches worked directly with Eric Thomas and CJ. And one of the things that CJ told one of my coaches early on, as he was building his career, he said, the money is the last thing to come. He said, you're going to do everything else first. You're going to put in the work. You're going to put in the time, the hours. You're going to record the videos. You're going to, you're going to do everything. And he said, but the money is the last thing to come, which means that don't wait for the money. Put in the work, put in the investment, put in the time, and then the money will come. And I always remembered that. And I'm like, all right, well, let me leave with service. And the more service that you give, the more help that you give people, the more successful you'll be. So focus on listening is a key skill. Focus on being authentic and being real. Like, don't get in. The reason why people are, not everybody, but the reason why some people shy away from, sales, quote unquote, is because you think about the greasy car salesman. You think about the person who's just trying to get you and wring your arm and hold you upside down and shake your pockets, right? We thinking about that person. So it's like a lot of people, maybe you felt that way, or maybe some of the people in your market could feel that way. And it's not your fault. It's just that there's some people that are just so thirsty that they don't come across as authentic. They just come across like if you got dollar signs over your head, right? And you don't ever want to look at your clients like that. You always want, like I said, provide. You coming from a place of service. You coming from a place to help. And sometimes that may even mean that you can't help them. I've turned plenty of people away. We don't even accept everybody into our program. Even if you got a credit card and you can't pay, because it has to be the right fit, it has to be the right culture. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to make sure that I don't got to chase you. When you're investing in yourself, you ain't really invested in me. You invested in yourself. The things I'm teaching you, I already know, right? So I'm teaching you so you can get to the next level. So you're really invested in yourself. And I don't want to have to chase you down to invest in yourself, right? I want people who want it. I want people who are hungry. I want people that's like, yo, this is my time. This is my year. Things could change. Things will change. And I'm ready to put in the work to make it happen, because it's not going to be magic, right? And it's not going to be a perfect time to do this. So those are the people that I want. Is like, yo, I'm ready to get it now. Let's do it, right? So you want the same people in your audience to have that same mentality, because those are going to be the people that are going to get the best results. Obviously, the people who want to do something about their situation are the people that are going to get the best results. But they're not going to tell you what they need. They're not going to tell you what their desires are. They're not going to tell you what their problems are, their challenges are, if you're not coming across as authentic. Because if you do that, because they feel like, oh, this person is going to use it against me, right? So you want to be real. You want to be authentic. You want to be you. You don't have to put on no fake voice, no fake accent. You don't have to act like something that you're not. This is one of the best days and age for what we do, because we're in a place right now where transparency and authenticity is winning at an all-time high.